Hi, my name is Tori Letzler. I'm a composer, producer, and vocalist, and today I'm here to walk you through Heavyocity's brand new product, Aspire Modern Mallets. So let's check it out. I've written this track in 3 sections. We have this intro that's soft and lures you in. We have this big fairy tale middle, and then we have this ambient lullaby-esque ending. So let's check out our intro and listen to the instrument. Okay, so something that I think is cool right off the bat with this instrument is you have a bunch of non-traditional instances. So when we think about, vibes, we always think about, a more traditional orchestral sense. But the thing that's very cool about this instrument and fits inside the Heavyocity brand very nicely is the fact that we have arps, we have pads, we have bowed instruments as well as traditional. Now, let me show you what that looks like real quick. So the first instrument in my session is this awesome Sweet Dreamy Vibes ARP you can see in my drop-down window. Now, just before I get into what's actually in the track, we have sections of All-Stars, which are obviously Heavyocity favorites, the core mallets, which border more on traditional, which are also used in this track. You have pads, more sound design-esque things, rhythmic, and then rhythmic melodic, which I think is really cool to differentiate those two things because sometimes you just want a driving pulse almost, and then other times you want a rhythmic, melodic ARP. So with this, I'm utilizing the Sweet Dreams Vibes ARP. Now let's hear what that sounds like. So I'm using this as a quote-unquote pedal throughout the entire track. Now what I mean by that, it is carrying a slight melodic element through our entire track start to finish through the whole story. Now, I love that it's very close to our melody, but it stays out of the way without distracting. Now, something that I love about this instrument is that we have this randomization element. So that means that I can move the sound around wherever I want. And I love doing things that add randomization. I pan my tracks all the time. I love that way of mixing and getting things out of the way. So it's very cool that that is built in right here. Another thing that is amazing about these instruments is the effects presets. So we have your reverb, your stereo delay, your EQ, and then, filter, saturation, a plethora of things that you can simply drag a hall reverb instead of a plate, drag and drop to change. So now I've changed from a plate reverb to a hall reverb, and I can adjust the mix right here as much as I want. Let's leave it at 50%. I can change the color, the sizing, and the pre-delay. Now, if I wanted to, I could add saturation, I could add a filter, and I could also do some aging, which is very cool, and I will get to that in a minute. Now, I think that it's very interesting that I was able to build the majority of this intro simply by using a bunch of different preset instances from one instrument, which is our mallets. So we have some traditional instruments in here, which I'll play for you. Now, I think what's really interesting about this is that with my traditional, my Dream Trem vibes, I can see the waveform. Now, I can also go in here and change the length of which that sample lasts. So I have it set to 8 beats currently, but I can shorten it, changing it to 2 beats, or, lengthen as you would. I also have the randomizer on here again because I want to move that sound around. And then I could also go in here. I don't have it activated on this particular instrument, but I could add an echo as well. Now, I love the fact that even with our traditional core mallets, they all have a lush width to them, which sometimes, just a standard mallet without adding any external effects, it wouldn't have that. Again, you can see I have not added anything external on this channel. Now let's go to our middle and take a peek there. Okay, so what I think is really cool about this is that all of the instruments that we heard previously in the intro are, for the most part, carried into our middle with some additional elements. But those so-called, very gentle elements are still cutting through, which is pretty amazing for, what we would consider a traditional mallet. Let me show you what I mean. So I have this main melody melody arp bouncy, which is obviously not what it's actually called. It's this 3 sides of Zem arp that I've actually used multiple times in this track, just in very different instances. So let me solo this so you guys can hear what it sounds like. So the thing that I think is really cool about this is it's carrying one of our main melody points, but it's also holding down chords because there's so many layers within this arp. And I think part of that is to do with the verb, adding the plate reverb in here, as well as the way the arp is built itself. And by the way, I'm just using the arp as it's built as a preset. However, if I wanted to change any note, it would be completely easy here in the arpeggiator. I can also change the octave and the swing of the notes themselves. I do not have randomizer on this one, as I like the way the arp is kind of moving already, but if I wanted to have it move more, I could certainly do that. And as you can see, I currently have my external plugins turned off because everything I'm using is already right here. Now, another great thing that we find in mallets is these bowed instruments, which I will play for you right here. So what you can hear within here, this is the same arp that I was using before, but I've added this bowed element. Instead of, the vibraphone close or changing the room sound, I've just added a bowed vibraphone element into the sound. And it only happens when we get to our point of this triangle, which is a visual representation of where our sound is going. Now, I love that you have the traditional arp in the top, and as you get toward the end of it, it does this slick bowed action. Let me play it again. It's just adding a really unique element to an instrument that we've already heard several times in this track, but it's just doing a slight different take on it and adds more width to everything as a whole, and I absolutely love that. Now, we also have a more ambient melody down at the bottom. And again, that is utilizing this bowed element. I'm loving the bowed elements here. I really think they add just such a unique quality. And I'm utilizing this falling rain preset. I have my echoes up in here, and then I'm utilizing all the effects as well. Now, say I wanted to add a little bit of aging here. Okay, great. So I'm gonna go here, our fancy little drag and drop. You can see there's an actual visual path for us. And I'm going to drag that where our stereo delay was. Turn it on, and I can change the sound. I can add warble. I can add noise. Let's listen to it now. So cool that while I was doing that, I was also changing the EQ, bringing down some of the highs, and then we have the randomizer on here as well. So let's listen to the end of the track. Now, I think what's cool about this ending is we automatically hear that beautiful lullaby-esque high celeste ending, and you think, oh, well, that's absolutely the Mallets. We can recognize that. Well, the bulk of this ending is also the pads are also our Mallets. I'm going to solo that here. Now, I think what's really cool about this instrument is that, again, you can do so much within one place. And I love the fact that I'm able to take an instrument that is seen very traditionally and do something ambient like that. And these instruments fill up so much like space in the track. I have my aging on here as well. I've got some warble going and some wear. I've got a filter built in, and then also our reverb, which I'm going to bring up just a tad. Now, I think it's just cool that I have, 5 instruments in the back half of my track, and I think 4 of them are variations of our Mallets. So let's listen to that again. So we have our main melody being carried out in the back by this generating dreams, which I absolutely love. And then that pedal arp that I mentioned to you earlier. Altogether, it just makes for a really cohesive, beautiful instrument that pairs so well with the rest of the library. Now, I hope you liked my demo walkthrough. Here is my track, and hope you guys go and enjoy the product yourselves. Thanks.